we all have to save for the rainy day. For instance, now that we have to finance a budget deficit, perhaps such money should be used.
I think the reason is I find that we've been dipping hands in the, from about 11 point something billion. I think it's not down to about 5. That's on this account. So we've been dipping hands to this and so on and so forth. If they have issues with the way money is being drawn down on this account, I think we can address that. But you find that the governors and so on and so forth, they want to take this money and run with it. And I think
let me hear from Babajide Ogunsanwo. There's been the issue of poor revenue flow. The NNPCs and all the generating revenue generating agencies for Nigeria have been accused of not remitting the accrued amounts to the Federation account. Could that also, be a reason why we're having this kind of situation?
The expected remittance, the narrative is the expected remittance from NNPC to the Federation account is an operational issue with respect to delays. However, the bigger narrative is that whatever assumptions we make on oil for the budget does not change how much the nation earns from oil. The budget assumptions just determines how much we will put into the excess crude account and how much will be used to fund the budget. So though it's important, it's more of a tactical issue. To be specific on it, if the benchmark is $76.5 or $79 or $100, it doesn't change how much the nation earns from oil. What it does change is how much goes into funding the budget and how much goes into savings through the excess crude accounts. What is more important for us to look at when it comes to the revenue we earn is how much we should be spending. Though the focus over many years has been how much we earn from oil, the focus should shift to how much we should be spending compared to other countries. A few weeks back, the United States made their expectations on 2014 expenditure, and that came to about $3.7 trillion, approximately 602 trillion naira. That is the budget of the US. We could have a long debate of where they stand as a developed economy. However, you have a US budget of 602 trillion naira for 314 million people. That's the population of the US as at date. If we were to look at that budget vis-a-vis the Nigerian population of 167 million people, the budget discussion we should be having today should be a budget discussion of about 302 trillion naira. That is the discussion we should be having, the kind of budget that we need to be able to take us to the next level. Until we start looking at that as the premise of budgeting, we would always be having this debate on.
But if you compare the economy of the US with that of Nigeria, do we have the capacity to generate such an amount of money to finance our budget?
We currently don't have that capacity, but we should aspire to that capacity. That's the whole essence of not just doing the oil benchmark, but the essence of benchmarking our budget to other economies. That is what we should be aspiring to, a budget of about 302 trillion. In the medium term, if we don't want to use the US as an extreme case of budgeting, we could look at South Africa. South Africa has a population of about 51 million people. Recently, they made their budget expectations for 2014. South Africa's 2014 budget expectations is approximately 17.8 trillion naira. That is 11 times the Nigerian budget. So if we were to use the South African basis and look at our population and where we want to be, we should be looking at a budget of about 11 times what we're doing right now. So we're looking at the budget of about 47 trillion naira.
Can I come in? I think that really what should concern us is the fact that even the one we have, I mean, you can't be castles in the air. But what should concern us, even what we have today, the budget we have today, that is not being implemented, it's not being, it's not being well managed. I think that's the issue. I mean, we can live in the air and say, look, the budget could have been this amount and so on and so forth. Well, okay, that's wishful thinking. But let's even have the capacity. Let's show the ability.
There are lots of factors that seems to be inhibiting the proper implementation of the budget, which we're going to ask you, gentlemen, to tell us. And one of the things that right now we have on ground is this issue of harmonizing the budget. The House of Representatives has said that this is what they want the benchmark to be, okay, and also the Senate is giving us another figure. How realistic do you think we can achieve the $74 per barrel, $79 per barrel? How can we achieve this and also actualize a proper budget implementation?
I think that the issue of the benchmark price of oil had sold at beyond $100 a barrel, more or less, throughout last year. I think it got a bit lower when there was some little crisis. So the value itself is not the issue. The harmonization, eventually, I'm sure that should be done. All right, I'm sure that the harmonization will be done, but the most important thing is that we should have a move on. We should. The eminent constitutional lawyer, Professor Ben Mabweze, is on record as saying that the House, yes, they have to appropriate, but in time to appropriate, they should try as much as possible to avoid increasing the budget. That they can, in fact, instead reduce it, because we know that it's easier to manage surplus. When you reduce it, we have surplus. And if, like I just said earlier on, if you feel that this money is going to go into an account and then the president is going to spend this money, whimsically without anybody knowing exactly what is happening, if we feel that that's the case, now let's make sure that we put a check on that to show that doesn't happen. But I think that the issue of harmonization, eventually we'll get there. Eventually the budget will be implemented. One, of course, is concerned about recent developments, in the House, with some parties and so on and so forth. And PDP had the majority in the House and had issues with, having this thing implemented. And now, so with the crisis in the House today, how is that going to impact, the approval, implementation, and commencement of implementation? Because you approve a budget in August, and then remember the year in December, you are shouting that the budget has not been implemented. How are you going to implement it?
We will get back to this issue.